Let's go. This is the date and time set for the public hearing for a PRD pursuant to the municipality's planning code for Patriot Estates PRD T-01-22. This is an application for tentative approval for a planned residential development. The address is 7648 Salzburg Road. I believe we have mutually agreed with the applicant that no testimony will be taken tonight. We will make part of the record the applicant's letter of March 28th, 2022. We are having this hearing to satisfy the requirement under the MPC. No testimony is going to be taken tonight. We'll leave the hearing open. With that, I would suggest that a motion to adjourn this public hearing to a later date, if necessary. So that would be appropriate at this point.
Motion to adjourn?
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Mr.
I'll
Turner.
second.
Second by Mr. Vento. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Dave, do you think we covered it?
That's good, I'm fine.
Okay.
Okay, we are adjourned. Okay, we'll stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and then start with our work session.
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
That would have been funny. Call EMS. I go to sit down and these guys pull my chair away from me.
Harry said
Okay, Mr. Thomas, if you will.
Okay, the first item this evening is the Patriot Estates PRD. Essentially, we have this on the agenda just because of the public hearing that just took place. There is no action for tonight, nor is there, I'm sorry, there's no action necessary for next week. But I did want to present the council the development itself, just so you're aware. This is the site, the previous site, where I believe it was a Miranda proposed plan. At that point, I want to say it was closer to 300 homes or something in that neighborhood, doesn't it?
It was at least another 100, yes.
Yeah, so this is 158 single-family, proposed 158 single-family dwellings on 104 acres between Davison Road and Salzburg.
Any discussion?
Now, quick question. When you say
Shoot.
single dwelling, do you mean individual houses?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, does this have to be a, just
This
not
is
a-
not an agenda item, no.
Okay.
Just-
Moving along then.
Okay, item number 2 is the Twyla Plan reapproval. We've done this a few times. Everybody kind of knows the deal. This was approved by council in 2021. The applicant was not able to get the plan recorded within the 90 days allotted by, required under the MPC, so they're back for reapproval. Just to refresh your memory, this was a simple subdivision, 1175 Renton Road. The applicant proposed consolidating 2 parcels into one for the purpose of constructing an addition on their house. Property is zoned single-family residential, and the new lot is now roughly 1.5 acres. And again, this is just a reapproval for them to be able to have to start the 90 days again for them to get it recorded at the county.
Discussion? Okay, agenda item.
Item number 3 is also a simple subdivision, although not a reapproval. This is the NAP lot line revision. The applicants are proposing to adjust the property lines on 3 parcels on New Texas Road, 750, 748, and 738 New Texas. There's just some various changes to the sizes of the properties. One of the properties is quite large. It's about 6.5 acres. The other 2 are roughly around an acre.
Discussion, questions? Okay, agenda item.
Item number 4 is also a simple lot line, simple subdivision. The applicants are proposing to consolidate 2 parcels and convey a portion of another parcel for a proposed single-family dwelling. This is at 450 Jackson Road. The property is zoned single-family residential as well, and the parcels the 2 new created parcels will be roughly 2.5 acres and 3/4 of an acre respectively.
Discussion, questions? Agenda item.
Item number 5 is the Chevelle Estate Lot Consolidation Plan, again, simple subdivision. The applicant is proposing to consolidate 2 lots at the existing Chevelle Estates plan of homes. This is off of Salzburg Road over there, over by Beal's Nursery. Lots 17 and 18 consolidation plan has been submitted at 9220 Salzburg Road. The consolidation plan proposes to combine the lots 17 and 18. This is also zoned single-family residential. The new lot will be .85 acres.
Discussion. Okay, agenda item.
Item number 6 is the Act 52 demolition grant application. The Community Development Department is currently applying for a $160,000 grant as part of the Allegheny County Act 152 Blight Removal Program. The proposal is to demolish 7 structures that have been identified as unsafe or uninhabitable. The total estimated cost of the project is $170,000, so we would be contributing. The proposal is to contribute $10,000 of borough funds toward the project. There is no required match for this grant application, but municipalities that include a match amount in their grant applications are looked upon more favorably as opposed to others. There are 2 resolutions associated with this grant application. One would be to declare the structures blighted. The other would be to authorize the application itself. So that would be 2 separate agenda items for 2 resolutions. And then the actual structures themselves, the 7 structures, are listed by address in the agenda packets.
Discussion.
Tahoe Drive, which one's on Tahoe Drive? Is that little modular home?
Do you have the addresses in front of you, Mike? I don't have them in front of me.
352.
I'm not sure which one that is,
I'm gonna look it up right now.
We can-
but I'm sure it's empty. I mean, we're not demoing anything that's occupied.
Yeah, it's a small little guy.
Trying to think of Tahoe Drive, there's an empty house.
Let me look it up.
Any more discussion? Okay, agenda item.
Item number 7 is on the agenda this evening purely for informational purposes. This does not need to be an agenda item, although it will be in a few months. As some of you know, especially the Planning and Economic Development Committee, you have been working with the Community Development Department on zoning amendments to our zoning ordinance. There's a number of different amendments that are proposed in this update. And the only reason I bring it up at this time is just to apprise you of the actual agenda schedule. Give me
It
one
is.
second here.
Is that modular home?
So the proposed zoning amendments after, and Dave or Dan or Ryan, please feel free to speak up. I know you guys have been working with Dave and his crew on this. You've been working for quite a few months now on these amendments, but the proposed changes were presented to the Plum Boro Planning Commission on the 21st. The Borough Committee, the Borough Council Committee met with staff to discuss the recommendations. On the 28th, the committee, were sent to Allegheny County. The proposed changes were sent to Allegheny County. That's required under the MPC. We have a target date. We are required then to have a public hearing to present those proposed public changes to the public. Those would be amendments to the zoning ordinance itself and/or any proposed changes to the zoning maps, if applicable. We're proposing to have that public hearing on June 6th. That would be prior to the agenda meeting, our regular agenda meeting. And then on June 13th, to have council vote on those zoning amendments if they are so inclined. After that, once council approve the amendments, then we have to provide them to the Allegheny County Law Library at that point. And then, is it 30 days after that, Dave, they become effective? 30 days after it's submitted to the Law
Well,
Library?
I think, Bruce, they can become effective immediately.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So there's no action at this time. I just wanted, this will be coming in front of council at the June work session, but this is something that's been going on for quite a while now, a few months, and I just didn't want it to appear on the council agenda in June and without any context.
Okay, thank you.
Item number 8 is the purchase of a commercial property that will be dealt with in executive session item. Item 9 is the hiring of additional public works laborers positions, which will also be held in executive session. Item number 10 is the hiring of an additional police officer, again, executive session item. Item number 11, in the agenda packet you have with you a resignation from the zoning hearing board. Mr. Zaroli has resigned from the zoning hearing board. At this time, all we're requesting council do is accept that resignation next week. We do have some recommendations, and we've been trying to recruit people to be appointed to the zoning hearing board, but at this time, we just need the council to accept the resignation.
Okay. Agenda, put on agenda.
Item number 12 is not necessarily an agenda item for next week, but this issue came up in the most recent Stormwater Task Force meeting about, and I'm going to state the phrase that was used, and I'm paraphrasing, so even though I did put it in quotes in my manager's report, staff should address every concern or request made by any resident. And this has been happening a lot lately, mostly because of the wet weather and the storms we've been having and the extremely wet weather we've had for quite some time now, the extremely high water table. But it also happens on any number of things. And I believe that I know, and I believe that the staff knows where the borough's responsibilities lie, and more importantly, where they do not. I just want to make sure that if council feels that there's some direction that is needed, then we would request that you put together some sort of policy on this. We get a number of requests from residents via the Borough Connect form or the Borough hotline, or just direct emails, or any other form of communication that we get from residents. I've been doing this 30 years. I know what the municipality's responsibilities are. More importantly, I know what they're not. And there are oftentimes we get requests, demands from residents. This does not mean that no one here is interested in helping residents, but we get a number of requests from residents that are not municipal responsibility. We try and explain that to residents, that this is not the municipality's responsibility, and I do understand, and I empathize with residents because it's very complicated. Most of us don't understand the governments that we live in, and how they operate and where the responsibilities lie, where the spheres of responsibility overlap and where there's gaps. But we get a number of requests / demands from residents that say, I want someone to come out and look at this. I'm not making this up. I was requested to go look at someone's gas stove because her neighbor's Wi-Fi was preventing her gas stove from working. I realize that's an extreme, I'm not making that up. You can ask staff, they heard it. I realize that that's an extreme example, but it is nonetheless not the craziest ones we get. And we get very similar requests from residents. Everybody's yard, myself included, right now is incredibly wet and soft, spongy, muddy, whatever you want to call it, right? I don't live anywhere near a stream. I'm not at the bottom of a hill. We get requests from residents who demand that the borough does something about this, and we tell them, we can very easily look on our system. We know where our systems are. If there's no stormwater pipes, culverts, catch basins, head walls, end walls anywhere near their property, it's just wet ground. But they insist that we come out and do something about it. They pay taxes, that we need to go do something about it. We typically tell them this is not the borough's responsibility. We get a number of phone calls about trees that are either potentially about to fall on, they think they're power lines, but they're actually the cable lines. The power lines are obviously much higher, as you know. And if they fell on the power line, the power company would be out to fix that. We can't work on that. But we get a number of phone calls very frequently about trees that are either laying on, just drive down Old Leechburg Road here.
Right.
There's 50 trees that are literally on, those are Verizon and Comcast cable lines.
Yeah.
And they're telecommunications lines, they're not power lines. A, we cannot remove those because A, we're not in the tree removal business, but B, it's not our property, it's not within our authority to remove something from a public infrastructure. But we get a lot of angry residents saying, why won't we do this? Why won't we do this? And when we tell them that's not our responsibility, most of them escalate that phone call or that email to council and say, you know, they're not doing this. My point here is this. I believe that the staff is fully aware of what is and what is not our responsibilities. But if there is some belief amongst council that we don't, then please, you're more than welcome to direct us through the creation of some policy, because otherwise we're going to continue to go through this. And we understand that. That's not going to change. We're still going to get the phone calls about the gas stove not working because of the neighbor's Wi-Fi. We're still going to get the phone calls.
The Wi-Fi.
Well, they refer to it as a Wi-Fi, sorry.
The Wi-Fi.
We're still going to get the phone calls about the soggy backyards. We understand that, and that's the job that we took, and we're more than happy to help these people understand that problem. But our standard response is, if we're not the cause of it, if there isn't a leaking pipe, or if there isn't a broken stormwater pipe or a catch basin that's malfunctioning or overflowing or clogged, we tell them it's not our responsibility. We're going to continue to do that unless someone from council, or shouldn't say that, unless council provides some sort of policy directive otherwise, because we do work for you and we will do whatever we're directed to do. I just don't think, on a personal level, I don't think it's a good use of tax dollars for me to go out investigating gas stoves.
Can you think of a better way to handle it than the way it's being handled right
No,
now?
I don't
No,
know
'cause
that, and quite honestly, I don't know that you could create a policy that
No,
would be,
I don't think you can.
that would be definitively.
As long as you're answering everybody's question.
And you're letting them know whose
somehow or
responsibility
other.
it is. You know, it sounds like you're doing the best you can. Just people want it done, and it can't be done. Sometimes just because you want it.
They get from staff, so they call me.
Well, there you go. Harry will take care
Well,
of it.
wait, I return the phone call after talking to staff and give them the same
I-
answer.
Yeah.
Well, okay,
Right.
that's
That just is what it
Cats, yes,
is.
if they have cats.
I think,
Yeah, if they have cats, and then I
You-
ignore 'em.
you know what though, Mr. Delaney's point though is that referring to somebody whose responsibility it is, I think that's the problem. So there's, for example, with the trees that are right now leaning on the cable lines, we do report that. I mean, Dave will tell you, and if the chief were here, he would tell you, we are constantly reporting to the to the telecommunications providers that there's a downed tree on your lines. And I'm not exaggerating or embellishing when I tell you, what they say is, we'll be out when it falls. Because they have thousands of them in this area that are in that, they couldn't possibly go out and just take care of everyone proactively. But in that case, we do tell them that. I mean, there was a specific case recently regarding this, and Mr. Dern was very supportive of staff in this case in explaining to the person that this is not the municipality's responsibility, but he was not happy with that answer, and he escalated it to the state. But ultimately,
Got the same answer.
got the same answer.
Okay.
But I think that's part of the problem is, there isn't always an answer to that question. There isn't always a solution to, well, so then whose responsibility is it? Sometimes, it's not often, but it isn't all that infrequent, when my answer or staff's answer is, we don't know.
Right.
Well, if that's the answer, that's the answer. They
And
don't have
there-
to like the answer as long as they get an answer.
And I don't think there's any policy we could put forth that would alleviate the frustration in you or the resident. So just keep chasing your tail.
Well, again, this is not, again, this is not, like, I knew this is not an action item. I just wanted to make sure that if council feels that we need to do something, then we can certainly start working on a policy to, but I do think that the Borough Connect system that we put in place and the Borough Connect hotline, the phone number that you can call, I think that's the best that we can do to sort of help residents with some of these issues.
Yeah, you can't make them all happy, no matter how hard you try.
Item number 12, or excuse me, item number 13 is the fire company fleet maintenance proposal. This was something that came out of a meeting that Mr. Dern and I had with the PFCA to discuss the recent fire safety study that council authorized. One of the things that was identified in that study was, how do I put this, inconsistent routine maintenance on the fire trucks.
Yep.
And so one of the things that was proposed by the PFCA was a proposal for all of the fire companies through one company to perform regular annual routine PM, preventative maintenance, that would be paid for out of the Borough Fire Fund. The proposal that you have in the, in the agenda packets is for slightly more than $23,000 annually. This was not a budgeted item in the fire fund this year. Not suggesting that you don't do it, I just need to point out that it was not budgeted.
That covers all the fire department.
It covers all 4 fire companies, yes.
Here's the deal.
And it's cheaper than going out,
Yeah,
right?
here's the deal. With the fire study we paid to have done, one of his recommendations is an EVT, which is an emergency vehicle technician, who would do all, because that was one of the things that was lacking with all 4 departments, that they don't really have someone who can really take charge and spend the time and put forth the effort, the oil changes, the tire rotations, the starter going bad or something. So what happens a lot of times is they've got to take the truck, I believe it's up to Warrendale. So now you've got a person who's got to drive a vehicle up to Warrendale, drop it off, have someone follow them up, and then come back. So the recommendation was sort of to have in-house done. So Pierce, or whoever, I think it'd be Pierce, they would come to each individual station and perform that maintenance thing. So it would be greatly a big help that they wouldn't have to spend all the manpower driving back and forth. So since the budget's already done, 22,000 might be a little bit more than what we had talked about. But if we could sort of incorporate it, like maybe do half this year, and then, then do the full thing. I mean, if we can find the 23,000, great. But if not, then at least incorporate this in, because we're also gonna be trying to find, like a job description sort of thing, to have this EVT maybe become a borough employee, that would partly be his responsibilities, but he would be, like, help Kevin Fields with the inspections and everything else that we do in the borough. So, this is like sort of the first step to get all that moving forward and helping them out. Because they're overwhelmed with the fundraising that they do.
Right.
They're away from their homes, they're away from their families, they fight fires. This is just like sort of a step to help them to not put so much time into it to drive a vehicle back and forth.
And the vehicles are an investment for the fire company, so to make sure they're getting a regular maintenance is gonna keep them on the roads longer.
Well, they're doing the maintenance. They're not.
No, they're
letting
not
that
doing
bypass.
nothing, but this will help
Yeah.
all of that.
It would be a great time saving for them
Which
to
is
not have to
important.
put forth 2 people to drive a truck up to Warrendale. Plus, it keeps the vehicle in Plum,
Yes.
What's the EVT expected to do again, Paul?
Yeah, it would be like, the EVT would be an emergency vehicle technician. We gotta do a job description.
Right.
But what was described in the study that Mike Wilbur did was, he'd be in charge of keeping all the records for all the vehicles from all 4 departments for all the maintenance issues. The tires needed changed, this truck has a radiator leak, we've gotta get that fixed. He'd be in charge of getting that scheduled and getting it done, scheduling the oil changes, the greasings and everything like that.
Okay, so he's not an actual mechanic, he's just
No,
a guy,
No.
a bookkeeper
And-
for the
and
truck.
what our hope is to incorporate that into a borough position, and then that would also entail like helping Kevin Fields do inspections. Maybe, doing some fire alarm testing and, things like that. It's very infancy stage right now, but this would be something to help them.
And one of the things we gotta realize too, as a council, we're not gonna be here forever. We just discussed 158 new residents coming into Plum here, up there behind the bank. And the fire halls are gonna be answering more calls, and this equipment's gonna
Right.
be getting used more
Right.
and more.
And they've made a couple comments that the fish fries have outgrown them. They can't keep up with it. The volunteers, they're burned out.
Yeah.
So we don't want to burn them out even further by, doing this. So this would be something that I feel should be done. Any questions?
No, I think we're all in agreement.
Yep, sounds like a good plan to me.
So, just so I'm clear though, for the motion next week, do you want to try, ideally, I will show
If
you
we
the
can
impact of
find
the
it,
fire fund
yeah,
budget.
yeah.
I just want to point out too that the $40,000 that was increase in stipend this year was not budgeted either. And I'm sorry, I have it up. Give me 1 second here. The fire fund, the proposed fire fund budget that we did for this year was, we projected a fiscal 2022 fund balance of when we actually already had, so because we had a large fund balance in there, we have revenues for FY 2022 of 1.2 million. We have expenses of 60, almost 700,000. So we have a rolling fund balance of about 150,000 in the budgeted. We had a surplus budgeted of 60,000, and we just spent about 40 of that with the increase in stipend.
Okay, so then we can do it. Okay,
We
So
have-
is the motion to put the full 22.3, I think it is, for next week?
yes,
Okay.
Yeah.
please.
Okay. Item number 14 is on there again, just in case we are in a position to approve the proposal next week. I don't really have anything new to report on the proposal itself. That has not changed. We have reduced the size of the pad and the ice rink. However, I'm very happy to report that as of this point, between naming right donations that we have committed to us, and about roughly around $250,000 in VE or value engineering that I did with the designers and the construction managers on the existing or proposed amphitheater. I have right now roughly about $500,000 to pay, which is enough to pay for the ice pad splash pad / ice rink. So this will not require any new funding or funds to pay for this.
Awesome. That's great
And
news.
have almost about $250,000 in obviously naming right donations.
Good
So
stuff.
That's awesome. Good job.
I like it.
I would like to keep it on the agenda for next week in the event that we are in a position to award approve the proposal, though.
It will stay on the agenda.
Just let it be known that if more people want to contribute to the naming rights, we can put a bigger sign up.
Well, they can give the naming rights to something else too.
Right.
Item number
You gotta be
15.
flexible, Paul.
Oh, absolutely. I can see it now, Dave Vento up in signs, up in lights.
I'll give you $10.
Item number 15, last month, and every year, council approves the disposition list of assets. Those are the equipment, vehicles, and everything that we're getting rid of and replacing every year. As part of the 2022 budget, we had proposed and council authorized the purchase of a new Bobcat excavator. Initially, we're going to purchase that Bobcat excavator in addition to the ones we already have. We have 3. We were proposing a 4th. After discussing, and so the new proposal, the new budget, Bobcat is $60,000. After talking about this with staff, we think we can get away with only having 3 of them. So we would like to add the smallest excavator that we have, the Bobcat excavator that we have, to that list so that we can trade it in on this new $60,000 one. The estimated value of the one that we're proposing to trade in is $25,000.
Is that what they're gonna give us for it?
That's the estimated value that we have for you. I have to get permission from you to do that, to go and get
Oh, okay.
to make that offer. So if you guys will add this to the resolution to authorize us, then we'll go and get a number. It could be 23, it could be 27.
Go for it.
Yeah.
Agenda item.
Yes.
Item number 16 is the furniture for the new Borough building. So we did not budget the furniture. We did not build the cost of the new furniture for the building into the contract with the contractor. We felt that we could get a better price because we can buy directly off the state contracts, as you know. We felt we could get a better price and better service by going through, because if we put it into the contract, we were gonna be at the contractor's, what we were gonna get. So we originally budgeted $250,000 for furnishings. Just wanna point out that this is all furnishing. This is tables for the banquet facilities, this is everything. Staff sat down with the contractor who's on the state contract. They come in, they meet with you, they go over the floor plans, they go out and help you design the new office layouts, and then they sit down and go through, we sat down and went through packages, and we told them, you know, I told the contractor, we are in that moderate price range, not high end, not low end, but moderate price range. And so they give you a price range from within, you know, to pick. We went through the staff, everybody from the police departments. David's been working on this for months with all the staff on all the different furnishings. They originally came back with a total proposal, and it is the new Borough Council chairs, by the way, just so that's included in this. They came back with a price of $350. I asked Dave and the staff to go back and see where they could cut. We did cut. So there's a number of offices at the new Borough building that that won't have a staff member. Now remember, we designed the building to accommodate growth. So the original proposal had furnishings in all the buildings and all the offices that technically didn't have a body yet. We removed all that. So we'll have some truly vacant offices. And we have some furniture here that isn't in bad shape that we can take up there and put in there. It might not match, but I can certainly live with it. We also went and looked at reducing the type of furnishings and going down a step. At this point, I don't have a full proposal we don't even have one uploaded to the agenda packet yet, but we're hoping to have that within the next few days. I do need to tell you, though, that we're probably not gonna get to that 250 number.
It says there you're at 275 right now.
I think we're gonna get in that range. I'm estimating it could be 285.
So if we eliminate a window or two down there.
Yes.
And one chair.
Right, he
And
gets a
one chair.
we might
Right,
put
he gets a
either quota.
stool.
Does the mayor really need an office?
Take that chair.
I mean, seriously, does the
We
mayor
could
really
probably
need
get
an
rid of an office.
Give him some Turner's tea crates and let him sit on those.
He can sit out in the parking lot. Couple pallets.
FaceTime man, he doesn't need an office.
He may not know where the new building is anyhow.
Okay, so,
Are you done? I mean, I'm hoping you're not. but,
Hey, I'm the one taking the shot.
We'll be here all
They're
week.
hitting body blows here.
Did we mention you by name?
Yeah.
So anyway, hopefully we'll have that final proposal, Dave. I think you're gonna have
We
it.
have to have it. I mean,
Yeah, so
yeah.
the reason we have to have it is that they've informed us that, part of this
It'll take a
increase, I
while.
think, too, is, you know, everything, I don't know if everybody's noticed,
Yep.
but everything is more expensive lately.
No,
But-
you don't say.
They've informed us that as of May 1st, that their new pricing will go into effect.
Oh, so we gotta
What's
get
the
it in.
lead time on this furniture? Is that a problem?
It takes a while.
Probably
Well-
6 months.
It is what it is. I mean, it may be, it may or may not be, but
You
at
mean
this
we
point,
may be in the building and no place to sit?
well, we're not 6 months, I mean,
Yeah.
we're still more than 6 months out
Yeah.
at this point.
You're-
But,
Enough
at this point, really what we need to do is accept a proposal to avoid the May 1st 20% price increase.
do it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
do it.
Well, I'm gonna put that proposal as soon as we get it finalized with Dave and and the rest of the guys, staff members he's been working with, get it uploaded to the agenda packet for next week.
so you can get it approved, yeah.
Good.
Okay.
Fine.
Yep.
Get it done. 20% is a lot.
Yeah, that'll make a big chunk.
Could be like 5.
All right, that brings us to the end of the agenda. Anything else for the betterment of the borough? Any comments from the,
Peanut
I was gonna say peanut gallery, but I don't know this gentleman over here. but This is the peanut gallery.
Hey, Mike, one thing before you start, there's one that's kind of joined together in number 15 or something about a Jake break proposal.
I think that's the last.
Is that still supposed to be in there, or is that an old one?
Oh, wait, where's the?
It's in your manager's report.
It's in
It's the end of
15.
number 15.
I think it was from
Yeah,
last.
it looks like it's
Last
left
month.
over or it's not separated.
It must have just been when I'm sorry, when I was cutting and pasting, I must have,
Yeah, because we talked about the last time,
Yeah.
authorizing the study.
yeah, wait, so the Jake break was on last month, and we did actually send the letter out, council authorized, and we sent the letter out to
Okay.
request PennDOT to do the study, but I don't know why you have that. I don't see it on my,
It's
It's
on
on your,
here.
it's in your email, that's all.
Like
It's in your email.
you just, yeah, it's in your.
it's in number, oh,
Yeah,
okay,
it's
I
at
got
the
it.
end
Oh,
of the
When I was cutting and pasting, sorry, I
yeah,
must not have
the
deleted it,
Bobcat.
Well, you
sorry.
better copy
I
and paste better there, Mike. What are you
Yes.
doing?
Good catch.
Well, my
Hold
technological
on here
skills
for a
are
while.
not to be admired, so, just so you know.
All right, good. We're good now.
I'd just like to ask a question about the senior center. When they weren't included in the new building, was there any discussion on long-term, what you plan on doing, the borough plans on doing with the building? Or,
With the old building?
yeah, where they are right now?
So the.
Are
the
they, have
so-
like an endless lease or something?
Yeah.
Well, what, I can't speak for council, but I know that the discussion that I had with the director at the time when we were finalizing the design for this was that, to keep both facilities so that we could have a separate facility, you know, the existing one now, but also to make the space available with the new borough building available for programming for the senior center. So if they need to use the gymnasium to schedule programming for a volleyball league or, you know, whatever, as well as all of the
Pickleball.
other amenities at the new borough building. So the idea was that they would just be expanding their space that they had available to them, without having to, you know, change locations.
The reason I'm asking is because with the new director, she's asking for a lot of good things to be done to the building. If you guys plan on it, you just redid the library. She has even, where she thinks it would be appropriate to have a sidewalk going in between to get the two buildings to be the same. But I'm asking more for, with all the maintenance that's coming up on the senior center, since you own both buildings, are you gonna kind of do the same? Or, as far as upgrades, are you gonna is that something that you guys have discussed where you're gonna make them look the same, or any different changes? Or probably no talk at all, huh?
Well, I mean, there hasn't been any, unfortunately, they're very different architecture to try and, like,
Yeah, I think we've had
make them.
we've had some conversations
Yeah.
about landscaping and
Yeah.
that type of thing. The borough's gonna help. The center's gonna buy some and the borough's gonna plant them. You know, there's a lot of stuff that is in the works already.
Good.
But as
There's
far as
there's some major maintenance, I mean, there's
well,
some
yeah, like
major
the
money
roof-
that's
the
coming
roof
up.
and
that's gonna-
everything, yeah. So,
yeah.
I mean, I
That's-
think the borough and the director will work together on those costs. You know, being on both boards, I'll make sure of it.
Yeah. Just as long as they're planning on staying there.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
good.
there's no plan to move. Because they, you know, like he said, Karen actually had a conversation with Mike about that where she's, you know, happy with that building. She wants to stay there.
Yeah, that
So,
was a
yeah.
conversation, that she wanted to stay there.
Yes, and that was something that they came, you know,
Right.
decision upon.
We
with
came
the
to them
two of them.
very early before we planned the layout of the building.
Yeah.
And they made it very clear they wanted to stay there.
If they would have had to give every space demand at the senior center equal to what they have now or more for growth, they would have had to increase the size of that building, and it just wasn't cost effective. So that's the decision that was made at the time, I think. You know, that was the one that was the most cost effective and better for both entities.
Right.
Anything else? Okay, then we are adjourned. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.